Hand me the thermal lance.
Snug.
And the quantum coupler.
Snug, snug.
You know, somebody should create a combo thermal lance and quantum coupler. I bet that would sell really well.
Snug?
Oh, hello there. Welcome to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I am your host, Casey Fatchett. If you've never listened to the show before, welcome. In addition to providing entertaining and informative photography-related information, I also go on adventures with the crew of the Starship Fibonacci. While you're here, be sure to subscribe to the show and, share it with a friend of yours, because sharing is caring. If you already subscribe to the show, you can still tell your friends about it and leave a review. Only the absolute nerdiest of listeners leave reviews, and I'm pretty sure that's you. At the moment, Golden Hour and I are trying to fix the ship's shield generators, but I'm having trouble finding the right tools for the job. Speaking of tools, on this episode, Raymond Hatfield from the Beginner Photography Podcast is back with us to discuss photography gadgets. There are so many of them. And we talk about the ones that are worth the money, those that are absolute garbage, and the ones we wish someone would invent. All after the break.
Snug?
No, I was not calling him a tool. I was saying we are discussing tools. Just hand me the 10mm socket. Hey there, nerds. The Nerdy Photographer has a brand new website, and with it, we've created a resources page where you can find all sorts of things to help you in your photographic journey, from contract templates to website hosting to web design services to printing. It's all in there. Be sure to go out and check out nerdyphotographer.com/resources. That's nerdyphotographer.com/resources. Hello, and welcome to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Fatchett, and I'm here today with Raymond Hatfield from the Beginner Photography Podcast. Raymond, welcome back to the show.
I'm excited to chat with you again, and I know that today we're talking all about gear, which is everybody's favorite subject, so this is going to be a good one.
It's one of those things that people obviously love to talk about on the internet, is gear.
Nonstop.
I don't know if we did this back when last time you were on. I do a thing called the Dice Breaker, where I pick a topic of conversation by rolling a 20-sided die before we get started. This may be new. The look on your face tells me it's new to you.
No, I mean, I've heard enough episodes of the podcast, like I know about it, but I can't remember if we did it last time I was on. So,
well, I've added a whole bunch of new topics. So, let's go. On. And it's 13, and the question is, if you could pick any fictional character to be friends with, who would it be?
Any fictional character to be friends with? Oh, man. This shouldn't be so hard. I feel like I watched a lot of cartoons when I was a kid. Oh, it'd be Arnold from Hey Arnold. He was just like the coolest kid ever. He was even-tempered. He always had great ideas, and he had this ability to, persevere through hard times. And as a kid, it was like, wow, he could just roam around all of New York City at like 7 years old and do whatever. Yeah, like that seemed like such a cool idea as a kid, living in a suburb that was relatively boring. So
this kind of reminds me of those, like I don't know if you've seen these, like in Asia where they let kids just like go and do stuff. Like like these very small children, like 2 years old or whatever, like going to the store their first time and like going and picking stuff up at the store. And I'm like, this is incredible. But yeah, like that same sort of feel from Hey Arnold. Oh man, if I went cartoons.
But they have like a flag or something. They have something that like it's culturally so accepted.
Yeah.
That I guess people just look out for these kids, which I don't know if that just couldn't happen in America.
Yeah.
But it's wild to see. It's a weird concept looking at other countries, isn't it? As an American.
Yeah, it is strange when I tell people like, oh, have you ever been, like, they'll say something that they think is just outlandish, whatever. And I'm like, oh, you know that exists in wherever, like really? It does? But yeah. Things are different than everything. Every place is not exactly like the United States.
Well, not only that, but like having grown up in California and then moving to Indiana, the people who like have only lived in Indiana their whole lives think that the entire rest of the country is exactly like Indiana, but yet always complain about, I don't know, more progressive states or things like that. So clearly they know, but something deep down makes them think that it's still only that everybody thinks exactly like them,
Exactly.
even within their own country. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. That is something that I've had the pleasure of visiting or having been in 48 of the states, 40, 46 of the 40. It's
What
either
are you missing?
47. I'm missing Alaska and Hawaii, and I'm trying to remember which other one. There's one more in the contiguous states that I'm missing, which I haven't looked at it in a while. But I was as an actor when I was back in my acting days. We went on tour, and I happened to we went through almost all of the states when I was on tour, and so that was it was an eye opening experience because I was still very young. I was just out of college. I had grown up in Michigan, and so that was like a real eye opening experience for me. Was seeing how the entire country, like different people live in different areas of the country, but that's still exactly the same thing. They'll have friends from Michigan or whatever who will say like, "Well, this is how everybody does." Like, no, that's like there's 49 other states, and there's probably like 8,000 other ways of doing things.
Exactly.
There's no one way that we all do stuff, but that kind of awkwardly segues us into our discussion on gear. There are lots of different ways. Yeah, there are lots of different ways to do things, and there is a gadget or a piece of equipment for pretty much anything that you can imagine. And one of the conversations that we were discussing this after I was on your podcast was like all the stuff that we bought that we never use.
So many things.
Like maybe used once and will never, ever, ever use again. What are some of your favorite photography gadgets that have actually impacted your workflow or creativity?
In a positive way?
Yes, in a positive way.
Oh.
or negative.
No, yeah, I like this. Yeah, let's start with the positives because I feel like if we start with negatives, I'm going to be looked at as just like a terrible human being with such a negative outlook on everything in life. But I definitely have some things that I do love. And the first one, actually, so all of this is kind of through the frame of being a wedding photographer, right? And while I was shooting weddings, I did it pretty much solo the entire time. Very rarely would I bring an assistant or even like a second photographer with me. And as you know, like there's a lot of gear that you can bring to a wedding. So I would say first is I have a think tank like airport roller bag, and just like organizing everything. It's just nice to have. The wheels are fantastic. You just bring it in, everything is in there. It's great. But I would say overall, like as a wedding photographer, the biggest quality of life improvement as far as gear goes for me was something called a cheetah stand. Have you heard of a cheetah stand?
I'm aware of what cheetah stands are. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they are fantastic. When I first learned what they were, so for those who don't know, it's a light stand, and when you set it down, the legs just automatically open up and set itself. The base is already correct. It's great. You don't have to untwist anything and open up the legs and then set it down and then lock it all up. You just set it down and it's good to go. And when you are that solo shooter and you have all this gear that you need to move around and bring, it saves, especially like at a reception when I found it most helpful during receptions when they would try to pack in too many people into a location. Most times you'd try to just pick up the light stand and move it wherever you needed to go. But when in those situations, you would always have to pick it up and chairs would be too close together. So you'd have to unscrew it and then fold in the legs and then move it where you wanted and then open up the legs again and then tighten it again and make sure that it was steady and maybe you put on a sandbag. But it's like with the cheetah stand, you just pick it up, it's ready to go. You move it somewhere else, you set it down, and then it's locked in. And it was fantastic. Of course, it's much more expensive than a traditional
light stand.
But I thought well worth it.
I've seen them in action. I don't use them personally, but like I have a second shooter who's also like associate shot with me, and I was in a wedding that he was shooting for me because I was in the wedding, and saw him like I was like, what are those? Like, because it was like the first time I had seen one in person, and he was just like picking up his light stand, like boop, 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 and he's like, oh, that's a cheetah stand. I think there are actually a couple of there. I don't know if there's any sort of copyright infringement going on, but there are a couple of other companies that make something similar now. That I don't know about pricing. I don't know. I like something that has for me, has what I think of personally as a more stable base, um, which is why I bought these very big. Also, the height. The height for me was a big deal. The cheetah stands, at least the ones when I was looking at them, weren't very high.
Yeah, I
And
don't think mine goes.
I wanted these, like, I saw them and I bought them because they were on sale for a ridiculously low price. They're these 10-foot Photic carbon fiber um, stands
Uh-huh.
that are light for a 10-foot stand.
Wow.
They're so light, and that way I can get above the crowd with my lights for the reception.
Ah, so you're always going to 10 feet, or like as high as you
I
can?
usually will go like 8 or 9. Just getting it up there, like, so that it can get across. Especially depends on the size of the room and like what's
Yeah.
going on in there. But like having that option to get up to 10 feet is great. And they were $75 when I bought them.
Not terrible.
And I
That's
thought,
not
and
terrible.
now like when I see them, because I think they may have discontinued making them, but there are still a bunch out there. They're now like 195 each or something like
Really?
that. Yeah. I mean, it was a huge discount when I bought them. I bought 4 of them because I was just looked at it and said like, this is like $100 off each one. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to, get as many as I might need, while I strike while the iron's hot.
Exactly. Do you ever think it's weird how, like, and I can never wrap my head around exactly what it is, but it's like when you pick up something, even if you don't know what the price was, it's just like you have 2 light stands here. You can pick up one and know that it costs $12, and then you can pick up another one and know that it was like $100 and that it's like really well made. And I could never point to exactly what the differences were, but I could always tell just by holding it.
Yeah, it's flimsy. And reminder, you can swear on this podcast. The shit is like, I bought because I was like, oh, because I like the lightweight.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll get a smaller carbon fiber uh, light stand for things like engagement shoots or whatever. Like, I just want one that I'm going to run with. And these are pretty big, like, I mean, not big as in like, I mean, they take up some space. I usually have I put my stuff in a bag that I can throw over my shoulder. It's an old fencing bag, which fits all my lighting stuff for a wedding. Like,
Perfect.
I can put, if I wanted to put 4 stands in there, I can put 4 stands in there with
No kidding.
with lights attached and everything. It's just like, because
Could you fly with it?
I wouldn't put anything. I wouldn't put that stuff into checked baggage just because I would afraid it'd get banged up. I'm paranoid.
Okay, yeah.
I'm paranoid about that stuff. I use a traveling golf bag container for that hard shell. I'm always about like DIYing the stuff, like finding things that are like that can fulfill the purpose without spending the money. Because if you look at like hard shell, like camera gear or lighting gear stuff, it's like super, super, super expensive. But you can find other things that will fill the price. But I was saying I wanted like a smaller carbon fiber one, and I went out and bought one, and it is trash. I still have it, but it's just like it wobbles. It's like you can feel how like that it doesn't just like tighten entirely right, and it just feels like it was. And the thing was, it was probably $70. So I thought like this isn't like cheap,
Yeah.
but it's like it's a 6-foot stand. I was just like, okay, I need something I can throw one light on, or just like a speed light on while I'm like shooting an engagement session or portraits or whatever, and just need something simple. And I'm just like, this is a piece of garbage.
Really?
It's terrible, and it's basically the same. If you look up carbon fiber light stand, you can see it. Pretty much everybody has one that they're producing. It's the exact same. Like it's just color differences. And I look around and I'm like, yeah, that's the same stand. Everybody's producing it, but it's just a piece of junk with different colors. And like, I've seen other people. I'm like, man, I mentioned that I have a carbon fiber light stand, and they'll be like, oh, like this, and they just like shake that thing. I'm like, not that one. I do have that one, but the one I would say get is not that one.
What do you think that would be good for?
The janky one.
Yeah.
I think it's
what's a situation that might actually shine?
what I use it for personally. Why I kept it was to want to talk about gadgets. I'm going to get right into a gadget that I love, and I'll say is a positive has had a positive impact for me. Is the DJI Osmo Pocket, which does all of my behind the scenes video for me because I can just set it up on the light stand and it will track me. It tracks. The new one, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, comes with the Creator Edition, whatever. It comes with a mic, and it just automatically connects. All you do is turn them on, and they automatically connect to each other. You don't have to pair anything. Audio quality is fantastic, and it has a vertical shooting mode, so you don't even have to like crop stuff if you want to like just shoot stuff for vertical. This thing is like I keep that other one now to like go to shoots and throw that thing on there to like get my BTS video, like of me like working with clients or whatever, or set up somewhere because it's just super lightweight. The stand is lightweight. That thing is tiny.
Yeah.
It's not going to throw the stand off.
I always would get whenever I wanted to do like behind the scenes stuff, it always felt like I had to then switch into a different mode as far as, well, what is going to be a good composition for this video now? Now I have to interact within this frame. But I guess if the Osmo Pocket there moves with you, you don't have to worry about that too much.
It does tracking. The one thing I would also say is that has helped me in the sense that it shoots 4K. So you can shoot landscape 4K video, and then things like Premiere has a way to reframe your video based on like you want to do a new
composition or whatever
composition ratio.
Yeah.
So you say like I want to do a vertical now, and then it will pan and scan for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Within Premiere.
Yeah, it has for years. Like that's been that isn't even like a recent AI development. That is like actual like that's something that they've had. I'm guessing it's AI that's doing it as well, but it's just something that they haven't really advertised, which is I thought was weird. I'm like, this is a great feature.
Yeah.
This is something that you should be using AI for to like recognize where the subject of the video is and reframe it for you. That's fantastic.
Exactly. But instead, we're using it to write all of the content itself to take ourselves out of it.
Shh! Don't tell anybody. That's what I'm doing. Instead, we're using it to generate the video and the artwork, which that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Next question. On the flip side, what gadgets or tools have you tried but found them unnecessary? And what did you learn from that experience?
Also, great question. What have I found unnecessary? So many things. So I knew that we were going to kind of talk about this. So I had some time to like go through all of my bins of stuff and try to pick out some things that I was like, if I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I got this thing. Immediately I realized like, oh, I don't ever use this enough. So this wasn't worth it. So I picked out a bunch of things. I would say the first actually is this guy right here, the MagMod Mag Bounce, I think it is.
That's a background light, or is that just a bouncy light?
So this like pops on the on your MagMod onto your flash,
right?
And then it illuminates this, and then spreads it, right? So it's like a diffuser, but like the way that it was marketed was that, which I should have known right away, but like that it increases the light output. I think in the same way that your built-in flash has that little white card that comes up, and it increases it in a way that like is more directional rather than total output. But anyway, I guess that was my fault for not reading that. But the problem that I found with this is that one, it does create beautiful light. However, I've been shooting Fuji for like years, and they're like relatively small mirrorless cameras, not good grips on the cameras. So when you put on a full size flash and then this
giant thing
on top, and it's kind of like, it's floppy, right? Like you can hear it. It flops around.
Yeah. For those of you who can't see what's going on here, it looks It looks kind of like a gentleman's sports protector in a
Oh
way,
yeah,
with the circle at the base of where the magnet fits in, but it's kind of like a soft, flexible, rubbery
too
thing.
flexible.
Yeah,
Too no.
but I think that's for packing. Like, I think that my guess is that they were like, oh, so you can just kind of like, I have a couple of little things that like Godox modifier things that
Mhm,
are like a bulb.
mhm.
One's a ball, but
Yeah.
it's so that it will collapse and it can go flat into your bag. And there's another one that is more rectangular shaped, but it's the same sort of thing. It's so that it will like flatten, and it's great. You can whatever you can just like flatten it down, and like it'll actually fit into a bag as opposed to like a bigger modifier. But it's the same, yeah, it's like that same sort of thing. Unless you have to like make sure that you've popped it to the points where it's actually like locked in. Otherwise, it just goes wob wob wob.
Yeah.
It just wobbles around. That looks like Jello to me. Like that. That
It does. Yeah, it does. It does. And it's like the thing with as looking at all this gear, and I got a few more things, but I feel like when I look at them, when I try to remember, why did I buy this? It's like I always want, it's not necessarily that I want better. It's like oftentimes I try to buy things that improve my quality of the experience, I suppose, if that makes sense. So like here's another thing that I love. So here's another little piece actually that I love, which I don't know
is a
with
battery pack.
it's a battery pack for my flash,
Yeah.
right? So it pops open. You can throw in 8 more AA batteries, and I use the rechargeable. Actually, IKEA I have found makes the best
Yes.
rechargeable
Yeah.
batteries.
That is across the board the response that I've
Okay, good.
received.
They're fantastic. So being able to just like plug that into my flash and now have consistently fast recycle time, have fantastic battery life, like all throughout the night of a reception, fantastic purchase. It doesn't get in the way. There's no fancy screens. Like I don't even know like what the battery percentage is left on the pack. Like there's a lot of room for improvement, but it just makes my life a whole lot easier, and it's great. But then I buy something like this Loom Cube here, right? Which they did
Mm.
a lot of
I have the
uh,
original.
heavy marketing. Okay, yeah, you still have it, so you know, with that growl, you know exactly what I'm going to say here. Is that it's that I don't know when to use this. There's no point. There's not enough light to use it for anything but like I don't know. I don't know. I honestly have. I bought this. My specific use case was to backlight negatives to then like digitally scan
Mm.
negatives, and there's a hot spot in the light. It's
Yeah.
too
It's too
focused in the
bright in the
center
center.
to where you can't do it. So if you back up the light to make that spot bigger, now there's not enough output. So it's like, what do I even have this thing for? And of course, there's like no return. You can't return it at all once it's been used. And
Yeah. I bought the original Loom Cube back when it was built as a flash for your
ah,
phone.
oh, that's right. That's right.
And it wasn't. It's not a flash for your phone. It is an LED light.
Yeah.
And you to even control it. This is my problem with a lot of things that are like phone specific. The way you controlled it, you can only use it in sync with your phone if you use their proprietary camera app.
Oh,
And their app was terrible, and which most are. And that's the thing. It's like there's always some sort of like with this stuff comes like this proprietary like camera app, and I'm like, why can't I just connect via Bluetooth to this thing or whatever and just use it? Wouldn't that be great? Instead of now I've got to like use your crappy like sorry LimCube, but your camera app was awful.
yeah.
You're not a camera app company. You're a lighting company. Don't make camera
But
apps.
but you see, once you get the app, then they can send you more notifications. And then once
Exactly.
they send you notifications,
About
they're also
new products.
about new products.
New products we have.
Yeah.
This brings me to something that I bought different versions of multiple times, including for my phone.
Different versions.
This is
Okay.
white balancing.
Oh, the
Uh,
cards?
Oh, no, I was stupid. I was dumb. I was just like, oh, it's just all this time, like take the card out, whatever. I'm gonna get the thing that just goes like it's like a lens cap
Oh,
on the on your camera, and then you take just point it towards the light source or whatever, and you'll get a custom white balance reading.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this would be great. And I'm like, oh, but it's only on it's only like they only had one size, so
Mhm.
you had to have it on like the particular size lens that it would fit on. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. Then I was like, oh, then there was one that came out that was like a little handle. It had like a little screen in front of it. Like you just put this in front of your whatever size lens. And I was like, oh, that's the thing. And then I'd find myself using these things a couple times and I'd be like, this doesn't do a very good job. So then I was dumb and thought like, oh, there was one that came out that would go over your phone camera and it would
To
give
read
you
the white balance.
yeah, and give you a reading. And like that only fit like a certain size iPhone, and then the iPhone changed
Of course.
size and it wouldn't fit anymore, wouldn't clip on. So there's just like all these things that I bought. Then we were all maybe like $5, $10 a piece, but I had like 4 or 5 of them. Like, why did I keep buying this shit when I could have just bought a card?
Yeah.
And I ended up getting like I think F Stoppers has like they had the which was a like great little gimmicky thing. It's the light disc from F Stoppers that it's you put your flash into it and it folds up into this very small little package that easily goes into any camera bag.
Mhm.
And then it pops out and it's just like a circle.
Mhm.
It just unfolds into a circle with a big with a white side, like a opaque-ish white side so it's a diffuser, and it just like goes down onto top of your flash. It's got a little like elasticy thing that you can put your flash in, and then on the back it has your white balance card.
Really?
So you could just shoot that.
Purpose.
Yeah. So it's dual purposes. It's great. And I was like, oh, this is a great little modifier to have that I can just put in whatever bag if I need it to put on my flash. Yeah, it was great. That was actually a thing. And then also I was just the reason I got them on my phone. Like I was saying the phone thing. I was like, I always have my phone with me. And then I was like, the phone camera is not really good at figuring these things out.
No. Now you have to pull out your phone every time you want to get a light reading.
Yes. Yeah. And at that point, just get a light meter.
Yeah, right.
And that is one of the gadgets I would say is most people would probably actually benefit from is having a light meter that, spend $100 on a light meter. Like a good
$100. What light meter do you got? Mine are like $300.
I mean, there are like some chintzy ones, but I mean, I have the Sekonic one that actually has the transmitter that will connect to my lights. So I was like, if I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it, like, because this way I can just do it pretty quickly.
No, whatever. That's stupid. Yeah. I got one too. They're fantastic. They're fantastic.
If you're gonna spend the money, it's like it's actually gonna help you out a lot in the long run. And there are too many people who depend on their camera to actually figure things out,
right?
That it can't figure out because your camera's dumb.
Let me look here. I'm trying to think. What else was there? I got a few more things as far as. So some things. Actually, here's one thing that I hated, and it's not because it was a bad product. It was because it just wasn't for me. And I'd love to hear your thoughts if maybe you've tried one. But It's a spider holster. Have you ever used a spider holster?
I did. I was one of the first. I am a first user of a lot of things.
Really?
I had the first version of the spider holster as
early
well.
Adopter Casey.
Early adopter. Yeah. I mean, because I look at something and I go like, this is a great idea. My back hurt from I was like, I'm going to get the spider holster. And I will tell you about the spider holster that it did more than anything else. It got a lot of attention.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It looks cool. It looks cool when you got the dual cameras on the side. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I have no hips. And the problem was the thing would just slide right off me. It's just like, it's like I couldn't find a belt that would tighten. It would just the camera, the weight of the cameras would just I was like, I got to put it on the one that's actually in my pants. And my pants would start falling. I'm like, no, I can't do that. Like,
can't do that.
I can't like the weight of the cameras, and like maybe it'd be different now with like mirrorless. I don't know, but like I'm using like 2 full DSLRs with lenses on them, and
Yeah.
it was just like too much weight for the belt to handle. It was like you don't have enough junk in the trunk to hold this to hold the spider holster up.
My thoughts were kind of similar. I didn't attach mine. I think I did one wedding where I attached it like directly to my pants, and right away, like you, I was like, "Oh, this is not going
It's
to
a
work."
bad idea.
Bad idea. But I bought a. I think it was a Think Tank. Think Tank makes like a grip belt or something like that, and it fits in there. So I bought that, and that worked much better for me. I got some hips over here, so like it would hold on. But I always found that I think because I have wide hips, this is a weird conversation.
Yeah,
Because I
it's
have
getting
wide
weird.
hips, when you add in the 2 cameras like off to the side, you're now much wider,
Oh yeah.
much wider. Like when you walk through a door, you now have to like go sideways to make sure that you don't bump into your lenses and stuff. When
Yeah.
you would go to bend over and pick up stuff, then they're like swinging around in a way that just,
Was
I mean, they were
uncomfortable.
always secure. They were always secure. I never had one fall. I never had one fail.
That was never my issue either. My issue was actually like I had a problem with the spring getting stuck in the locked position.
You couldn't get it out.
I couldn't get the camera out. That was the only issue I had with any of that. It was always in there secure. It was always very secure in the holster itself, but like one time too secure. But yeah, like it created like an awkward. I thought this is a good thing for like studio shoots. Like
Yeah.
where I might want to move around and I don't want to have something on a strap where I can just like move it into different positions so that I can just like take it out. And still used it. I stopped using it for weddings, but I still used it for a while on more like studio type shoots for a while. Then I was just like, I'm just kind of like, I'm going to set this on like my table of accessories or whatever that I'm using. And I'm not going to like put it back on me because I'm usually shooting tethered anyway. And it's,
Oh, yeah. That would make it much harder. Yeah.
yeah. It's a, whatever. I was just talking to Rob Hall. He's like, I got spider holster. And I was like, yeah, well, look, you're 12, 14 years behind me. It's not it's not for me personally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a good product. It just, it wasn't for me. But you know what I could tell right away wasn't for me when I saw it?
What's
The
that?
second that I saw it. And I don't know if you ever tried it or not, but I think it's called the tri-lens. So this thing, it also attaches to your hip. Okay?
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Camera mounts or lens mounts on it, and you attach your lens mount to it. All 3 lenses in the shape of like a Y.
Yeah.
And it attaches to your hip. So whatever lens you want, you can just,
weirdly adjust your
put it on your lens. But now you have like this weird Y triangle of lenses, heavy glass that's just like hanging off your hip. And immediately I was like, I don't know who this is for, like unless you're shooting tiny primes. But even in that case, like
go like this.
Yeah.
It had like, it was like a tripod almost of lenses.
Yes.
That rotated it around.
Oh my gosh. And my thought was like, who needs that many lenses? Who needs to carry that many lenses, but nothing else?
Right.
If you're
gonna do that, like have a bag.
Lenses, bring a bag.
Have a
bag.
sling.
You're gonna want memory cards, probably some batteries.
Have a sling bag of some kind. Like,
something. But it sold real well. Like I saw a lot of photographers with it, and I don't know if it was just like a hype thing and people don't use it anymore, or if they genuinely got enjoyment and use out of it.
I remember seeing it, and I was like, "This looks uncomfortable. This looks like something I definitely would smash my lens with if I had on." Like you were saying with the spider holster, you become wider. Like it's like, I shoot with a dual harness now. And when I'm going through a space, which I deem to be like narrow in some way, I can grab my cameras and sort of like adjust their positioning while I go through that space. Do a lot of like corporate conferences. And when you have to like move between tables and stuff, I gotta get over here and get a shot.
Yeah.
Like with the spider holster or with that thing, like you're gonna be banging into chairs
It's
over
right
and
at the
over
height
again.
of tables.
Yeah, it's
And-
exactly at the
Yeah.
wrong height of everything and position.
These damn hips.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like I'm in a restoration comedy, and I've got like the giant like hip roll that the ladies have to wear under the dress. It's it's too much.
Yeah.
That being said, I actually have a list of some things that listeners and commenters brought up as things that they thought were terrible. Would you like to hear a
Oh,
few of those, or do you have more of
absolutely.
your own?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have more, but I'm always up to hear what other people hate.
Uh, uh, lens cap keepers.
Right, with the little stupid elasticy, the button. Yeah.
Just dumb. Just
I'd love to hear your thoughts. I don't have any lens caps. I just almost throw them in a bucket. The second that I get them, I don't use any lens caps ever.
I have most of my. I will say I think it's my obsessive personality, but I have most of my lens caps. Though I have lost a few along the way because I'm a photographer, and I will just I'm just gonna take this off and put this here, and then I'll come back and get it, and I completely forget about it. I have also because I have my old film cameras, which there had no lens caps, and I'm trying to keep dust from growing on the just marking up the lenses. I have the curved, I believe it's curved, like the universal lens caps. Have you seen these? They're sort of rubbery. I think it's actually a very good idea. It can adjust to different sizes of lenses. They have small, medium, large, but they stretch, and you can put it over your lens and create a lens cap. I keep one in my bag just in case I lose a lens cap and I don't want my shit to get scratched up.
How often are you changing lenses, like during a wedding day or an engagement session?
During an engagement session, I it depends. I like to shoot primes, so I am going between 35 of 50 and a 135, and kind of go back and forth depending on what I see. Yeah.
Do you put the lens caps back on and then in your bag, or do you just throw the lens?
No. I keep, because I have my messenger bag for an engagement session, and I just kind of unzip it and I will put it back in there with the lens hood still on, no cap,
right?
No cap, and then just leave it there because I might want to take it out again and put it back on and no lens. But the lens caps are in. I'll take the lens caps off and put them in the smaller.
Yeah, down at the bottom of the bag. Yeah. So then it's not until after the session is over that you'll put the lens caps back on.
Correct.
I see. Yeah, I mean that's a valid way of using them. I just always found that it's if the point was to protect the lenses, I feel like for me they would most get scratched up putting them in or taking them out of the bag, because once they're on the lens, I'm not going to touch it. I'm it's just going to be there floating. I'm not shooting in front of rocks and stuff.
For me, it's a matter of transportation. I think that's where I worry. Something will get jostled while I'm driving or whatever. Something could hit it. Just that, it's just an extra layer of defense in that sort of instance.
I see.
That's where I think is for me is primarily where though I guess taking it in and out of your bag is probably the most. I am so obsessively be very careful about the lens.
Right.
I'm not going to damage it. But yeah, man, lens cap leashes, the worst. Who was using that? I looked at it the first time, I got one as a freebie and something.
Sure.
That's oh yeah, just put this on. You'll never lose your lens, your lens cap. And I looked at it and I went, yeah, I'm just gonna, my lens cap is going to be flapping off my camera all the time, and I can never use a different. I don't know, never use a different lens.
Yeah.
This is just a horrible idea. One of the other responses I got was anything off of Kickstarter.
Anything off of Kickstarter. Let me think of one. Well, I think the Narbox started on Kickstarter, right?
We'll get into the Narbox. We're going to say the one I always hear all the time. Everybody, Arsenal, that's sort of the Arsenal.
Never tried that, but it seemed to have good reviews. Now that I think about it, did it not? There was a version 2 where of course,
there was a version 2.
Every influencer in the world went out to Hawaii to shoot with this thing, and they all said that it was the best thing in the entire world. And then you never see any other videos with them using it ever again.
Exactly. A friend of the show, Leighton DaCosta, will always say like the Arsenal was the worst purchase he ever made.
Oh man.
This is just if everybody else, like all the people, like I sent this out to listeners and to Reddit, and they were like multiple people who said Arsenal worst purchase I ever made.
Wow, I'm really shocked by that. I mean, again, having not used it, but I guess just by looking at their marketing, the promise is that you can what, like use your smartphone to do more controls within the camera? Is that it?
Yes, yeah. And the thing was, like, already had when the Arsenal came out, I already had Cam Ranger, which was a similar type of tool.
Yeah.
Which I think is like they have a new one. I haven't used it in a long time. But I would use it for things like intervalometer or for like astrophotography to have like like I could see in live, like now, like all the mirrorless cameras, there's an app.
All built in. Yeah.
Right. It's just like you have it now. It's like built in, like by your proprietary camera company has an app that you can use as a remote. Fine, because you have built in. This was before built-in Wi-Fi or Bluetooth in your cameras. So I would use that. I would also use it for doing self-portraits and things like that, just so I could actually see my framing and where I was and focus. But the Arsenal apparently just did not live up to the hype, and like connection was an issue, all sorts of like control issues. That's just what I'm hearing from other people.
Yeah. I was always interested in their panorama mode. That always looked the most interesting to me, but
you have to have the tripod, the automated tripod stand so you can move the camera.
Oh,
you think
so I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so that the camera will move and do your automated
and then another only like single use tool that I'm going to come back on the podcast in a few years and say like, I regret buying this.
Yeah. So are there, okay, before we move on, are there any other things that you want, like that you bought that were like, this is absolutely worthless?
Good question. Worthless. Maybe I don't know about worthless. But so after the Narbox came out, which of course we'll get into, but Western Digital came out with a similar type of thing where you can just insert the memory card, the SD card, and then it'll automatically ingest the images onto the drive. Yeah. But the issue with it was that, one, it was painfully slow. Like I would leave a wedding and then say have a 40-minute drive home, and I'd only upload like 132 gig card. And it's like, then I'd plug it into my computer and I'd be able to upload the other 4 32 gig cards in like 10 minutes. So it didn't help at all. Maybe if I was gone out in the field for like long periods of time, but also didn't want to bring my laptop, then it might be useful. But like the fact that there's not many other products like that tells me that most people will probably just bring their laptop if they want to back up their cards. So, I posted a review of that on YouTube a number of years ago. Everybody in the comments just completely roasted me, and I'm pretty sure that they're just all Western Digital employees, because it was it was the worst. There's no screen. The app didn't walk you through anything. It was just the file explorer. So you had no idea how to figure out how to use it, except for this little sticker that was on the front that said, like, press once for this, press twice for this, press 3 times for this. But there was no lights anyway, it was garbage. I absolutely
how are you supposed to? Yeah, like how are you supposed to
know when it was ingested? Know when it was starting to ingest? Know when you could safely remove it. So many things. Know when the drive itself was being active. I don't know. There was no way. But everybody else on YouTube in the YouTube comments absolutely loved it. So
yeah, all those paid actors. That's the thing. I want to get into this since we're talking about this type of thing. I had seen that. I had seen the this as an option, and I thought about getting it. And then I saw that there was no screen, and I was like, "How?" Like that was the thing that got me. I was like, "No screen. I can't." that can't see what's going on, that's going to be a problem.
Yep.
And I had always thought, like, I had seen the NAR box and I was like, oh, maybe I should get that. Because I was really interested in um, having a portable something in the field that I could just plug my cards into and it would automatically just download it as a way of backing things up. Because when I travel, I might be without, like, I might be like out someplace, like going to Scotland, and you're out on the moors or wherever, and get done with a shoot, and I'm like, I want to back this up just to be safe. Like, this is a fantastic shoot, and I want to have a redundant copy. I don't want to have to pull out my laptop and download it to the laptop, because then I'm more afraid of the laptop. Like, at that point, I got to have
Yeah.
an external drive for the laptop to save it to. I want something rugged. And I looked at the NAR box and I thought, oh, this is going to be the thing. This is going to be the thing that gets me, like, whatever that gives
Did
me
you
what I
buy it?
want. And it had all of these things, and like, especially the NAR box 2. It was like, oh, it's going to have photo mechanic built into it.
Looks
So,
fantastic.
and I was like, what? Like, I can, and like, you can connect your iPad to the NAR box and like, go through. And I was like, I can call my images like from my iPad, like while I'm traveling. Like, if I go
And
to a
then just
wedding and
plug
I'm
the
out of town,
drive.
I'm just like, if I'm on, a flight or something, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to go through here. It's going to be super simple. And then I started reading the reviews, and people are going like, it doesn't connect. The onboard software, all this onboard software that you were claiming this has, none of it works. All of these types of things where, when you start doing the deeper dive, it doesn't deliver on the promise of, that of what you were hoping it was going to have.
Yeah.
The thing is, someone on, I'm so mad at myself for not having found this. There is now a new version of this that exists. I'm not going to go. I will put it in the episode notes once I find it. I was trying to find it in this like long thread on Reddit where someone said, "Oh, that actually exists now," and I've used it and it's really good. It doesn't try to do more than it is, but it's literally, you can plug in a SD card, compact flash express, like, and it's a hard drive, and like, you don't need a computer, because that was another one that I had found. It like, you'd have to, like, you're plugging it directly into the drive, but you still need to have a computer to like run the thing and power the drive somehow to, like, run it and make the transfer. I was like, I don't want that. Or I don't want it to like have to connect to my phone
Right.
to like run the software that then transfers things. It is, I watched the videos. Whatever this product is, I again apologize. It will be in the episode notes when I find it. It is. I watched the videos, and it looks like it. Fingers crossed, this might be the one, because in the videos like that other people, users have posted, it's fairly new. And I was a little skeptical at first, because I was like, this doesn't have enough reviews on it yet for me to make this purchase. And this guy was like, trust me, like, if you don't want to buy it immediately, that's fine. I think that's kind of why I like let it go. I was going to come back and see, now that it has been like a few months.
Yeah.
That maybe there's some more reviews on it.
Is it a different company? It's not
It's
like
a totally different company. I believe it's a Korean company. Might be Glyph. I'm not sure.
But it seems like something that would be so easy to do.
Right. It seems like it would be something that, like, if you've devoted your time to this stuff, and like, there's obviously a need for it. People want it, but it's like watching the video of this new product. It was like, an LED screen or whatever, and like, you type in like either buttons, like press to back up, and it automatically backs up everything on whatever card is inserted to the hard drive into its own folder. It's just like, and it was fairly fast. I mean, not like super, super, super fast, but like way faster than anything I'd even seen like tested on like Narbox or any of that stuff. And I was like, that is the thing that I'm looking for. Maybe I'm going to hold off judgment until I
Yeah.
see what there are more reviews. But yeah, that was like something that I put out there. Like, this is a device I wish existed. I wish this device. What is a device that you wish existed? Like a
Me
gadget or something?
personally,
Yeah.
oh man, what do I wish existed? What do I wish existed? Um, you know what, Casey, I'm a pretty simple man. You know, even though I have like way too much gear, way too many things, um, I wish. Here's the thing. I've actually been shooting a lot with just this like Sony point and shoot camera. This thing's like 12 years old, right? It's a for anybody wondering, it's the Sony uh the XT20. Now I know where Fuji got their name from. But like you just slide this thing down, you take the photo.
I'm just going to tell you that a lot of film cameras had XT and then
All right, yeah. So Sony still okay. So anyway, but it's great. Like I just put this in my pocket and I take a lot of photos. The problem is that the file sizes are massive. Like they're way too big. Like I don't know what Sony was thinking with just the JPEGs that come out of here. They're huge. Okay, so just for my personal photography, my workflow is that I take out the SD card, I plug it into my iPad, I upload the photos into Lightroom CC, and now I can have them on both my computer and my iPad. But typically, for most of my personal workflow, I just do the whole thing through the iPad. The issue here, and here's getting to the thing that I want, is that with Lightroom CC, when the photos get uploaded to the cloud, you can no longer what's the word that I'm looking for here? Not adjust. You can no longer like manipulate those source files. So like, what I would do if I were to upload these photos onto my computer and then run them through JPEG Mini, suddenly the files are like 80% smaller. They're teeny tiny. But because they're straight out of the camera, there's like, I'm guessing no compression. Well, obviously it is because it's a JPEG. But now they're taking up tons of space in my Adobe cloud, which now makes me instead have to use the computer to upload the photos, to then run it through JPEG Mini, to then upload it to
the cloud.
The cloud, yeah, just to save space. And I'm like, this is so inefficient. There needs to be something, and I don't know if the answer is something on the iPad, like a JPEG Mini, or if it's a piece of hardware, or I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But now that I realize it, I don't think that I answered your question at all. I think that was just a problem that
something
I have.
Something you wish existed. You wish that there was something that would optimize your images straight from, like, you could just like run it as an app on your iPad or whatever, and get into your mobile editing suite, or like, as opposed to having to like actually go onto your laptop and run through. Okay, so you had good experience with JPEG Mini. I signed up for JPEG Mini. I bought it, and I noticed no difference in the size of my files. Like
no difference in the size. No, in your exported files.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. You're already a master at exporting your files. So
I was like, I must have figured this out. I must have already hit the sweet spot.
Yeah,
that I was not like. There was literally maybe 5 kilobytes difference, and sometimes my files were smaller.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I was like, okay. And now that, it was like, I don't need to pay for this.
For your use case, I wouldn't pay for it either. For me, I shoot a lot of my work just naturally in JPEG. Like even weddings, I would shoot in JPEG. But even beyond that, I have a whole, at the time it was a Drobo, but now it's a Synology full of images from the past like 15 years, and obviously just by looking at the Sony here, like they weren't very good at compressing images from their JPEG. So it's like, I've literally, in fact, let me open it up real quick and I'll give you a JPEG. Here we go. I have saved a total of 100 terabytes. No, that can't be right. It says 132 terabytes saved. That's a lot.
That's a lot of space.
That's a lot of space. But I mean, again, like I took a lot of photos when I was like too many photos, maybe as I was.
I look back at how many photos I used to take at weddings, and I'd be like, why did I take this many photos?
Yeah.
Why was I taking all of these pictures? Even now, I look at it and I cull, and I'm like, man, that was maybe shot too many, but some of them I overshoot the portraits just to make sure everybody's eyes are open and those sorts of things. But yeah, still too many photos.
And it helps having super large JPEGs that can unoptimized JPEGs that can be reduced by like 80% file size.
You
But
know what? I have, but I have not tried it, so I don't know for sure. And they are currently, I believe I'm signed up because they have sent me information via for every year when I do my like Black Friday sales that are going on. Rosie
oh
by
yeah,
Dot Photon.
have you used it?
I used it like a few times, but then I just didn't I didn't go back and really get into it because I got too busy. And I want to, but like right now they have a waiting list for their new. They have a new program coming out. Same basic purpose of making your raw files, compressing the raw images 5:1, file size, which honestly in a lot of ways would be the same size as like a large JPEG
Yeah.
like file size. But I would like to test that out and like see if it's like if there's any difference between the optimized file and the original, like what my differences are. But that, like, for people who are interested, I'll put the link to them as well in the episode notes. And I found the wannabe
the new version of the box. Yeah.
Is the Clausen, Clouzen Tainer, Tainer portable all-in-one backup storage. There's one that does not have any sort of storage in it that you can add your own SSD to, or you can use it as a throughway to your to another drive or to your laptop. But there is also one that has a 2 terabyte SSD built into it.
That seems like enough, right? Like,
yeah,
you don't. Like,
that's enough. That's enough for like walking around stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not keeping it on there. I don't want to keep this with me for on this thing forever. But it also will do. And this is the thing. This is what I looked at it and thought like, well, that's a step up. It actually can do cloud backups instantly for you if you connect it to the internet.
Like from your phone? Like if you tether it to your phone?
Yeah. Or to like if you're in, it's just like it has a Ethernet port. But you can also connect it via like Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to your phone and use your phone to do it. But you can also just plug it into like an Ethernet cable, and it will. But you like put in your, the whatever it is, whether it's Backblaze or whatever your backup, location stuff is. And you plug it into the internet, and it will back up your stuff like to there. It will back up all of your your files down to into the internal drive or to wherever.
That's interesting because technically that sounds like a network attached storage device, and yet Backblaze to be able to use network attached storage devices with Backblaze, you have to have I think it's a business plan.
Well, this is just like where is it? Okay. Oh no, okay. Currently supports OneDrive, Google Drive, and Dropbox for cloud connectivity. So maybe that's. I just said before, and I read it. It just said cloud backup. So
hey, Google Drive storage is what do they say? Cheapest chips. So that's not a bad thing. That is pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, again, like lots of space. USB-C, regular USB or USB-A. What else? Lots of stuff going on there. Anyway, so yeah, the link. I'll put a link to that in my episode notes so people can go check it out if you wanted to.
Are you going to buy one?
I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking
about it. What's the price?
$600 for the one with the 2 terabyte SSD, which is actually cheaper than the Narbox was. The Narbox, and that was like with a 256 meg.
Yeah.
Or gig. 256 gig or 512 gig. It's like 4 to 10 times the storage.
Yeah.
For a slightly cheaper price. So yeah. And I think that, like I said, there's like, you can take the SSD out of it if you want. Like it's those, like a laptop SSD, like those ones that are like a flat little thing that whatever. Anybody who knows what it is, if you know, you know, that type of SSD drive, not like a big SSD drive. Big
Yeah.
SSD drives. Man.
Big SSD drive. How far we've come with technology, right?
Exactly. Okay, so I'm gonna like do you have any other things that you wish existed? I've got a list from people from our listeners.
Let's hear what other people said.
Uh, someone has said a remote device to use the built-in controls, and I was like, "Oh, my response was, yeah, that exists now. If you with your proprietary phone or your app via the camera company, spring-loaded tripod or monopod, like so that the it
The
actually
lights.
no spring-loaded is so there's like instead of having to like unlock and then pull out the for your monopod or your tripod, like so that all the legs just like go all the way out.
Yeah.
And
That exists.
It exists. Several
Yeah.
companies, in fact, make them. There's the YC Onion Pinetta, the Ciru SVM Rapid, and the Small Rig Freeblazer, and the Manfrotto Fast. So this is actually something that people are listening, and that is something that people wanted.
Would you ever use that?
No.
No, I can't see a use for it either.
Much like your cheetah stand, there's for me, it's like, why would I do that? Like if I'm setting up my tripod, I don't know. Like there's something I might use it for a monopod. Because that's the sort of thing like I'm in we got to do this fast situation. That maybe is the only reason, but otherwise I feel like eventually this is going to lose. It's the skeptic in me that says this is eventually going to lose its ability to do this.
Yeah. And then it will become absolutely useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. There's also some of the other things that people asked about. Someone said a built-in flash controller in your camera operating via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. This, I know that Canon used to have this, but and Nikon used to have it, and it was via line of sight because it was infrared. Like you had to have a pop-up flash in the camera, and it would just send out a signal via line of sight to the different flash units. This is a terrible idea. It's awful, and I'll tell you why if you want to hear. Like, I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but like, I will tell you why I don't like this.
Wait. The sample flash line of sight idea.
Just having it built into your camera, no matter how.
Why?
Because you have to go through you have to go through all of your menus to like make the changes, and I'm gonna I got enough camera settings I have to deal with just for like aperture, ISO, like shutter speed, these sorts of things. How are you adding all of your flash controls somehow into what you can see like immediately while you're in your camera, like as opposed to going into it's going to be in the menu somewhere, and what's the point at that point? Like I would rather have my whatever goes on my hot shoe. Yeah, so that I can just see it right there. Even though, like, have you seen the little Godox one that's like looks like a Apple Watch?
Super teeny tiny. Yeah.
Man, my old eyes look at that thing and my big fat fingers.
Yeah.
Look at that and go, I'm never going to get this to work properly. I also need the tactile response.
Sure. Yeah.
Of buttons, because there are times when I'm doing this kind of in the dark or just by feel.
Yeah, and not looking right at it. Yeah,
right. I can't look right at it because I'm doing something else, and I'm just like I'm gonna feel. I know this is where the buttons are, and I can get that done. As opposed to I'm just gonna look at this teeny tiny little screen, and hope that gets what I want.
But you're not alone, because Volkswagen, when Volkswagen came out with their 7th generation of the Jetta in Golf. All of the controls for the AC, for the heat, for the defrost, for everything was just touch capacitive. So like you'd have to touch it and then you'd see that the light would turn on, and then that would signify that it was working or not. And so many people got into car accidents because they had to look down because they didn't know if they touched it or not. So they'd have to take their eyes off of the road and then press it again. And then by the time they looked up, there's a car there and now they're dead. So they had to go back to physical buttons where people actually turn and they click, and you can get that tactile feedback. So I'm right there with you.
There needs to be some feedback of some kind, like so that that it's activated, or that you know that it's like, and not just, the man, I don't know. It just seems like a bad idea.
I agree.
So next one was a way to swap batteries without losing power in your camera, like to keep it on.
I feel like that's only useful for video. Like I can't really think of a reason why you would need that for photos.
You wouldn't need it for photos, but I think that's more of a video thing. And my response to that, like, I get why people want it, but my response to that was like, you need the AC adapter for your
right,
and you need to plug in if the battery power is. Here's one: built-in tracking devices.
Built-in tracking, like an AirTag or something.
Yeah.
So
like for your camera, like, but I feel like, how is it activating?
Yeah, right. Because you got to turn off the power, and I mean, the best thing in that situation is just to mount an AirTag to your camera and then let it do its thing.
Then someone said, I want an 18 to 300 millimeter f1.8 pancake lens.
Wow, like, me too.
It was like, everybody would like that.
Everybody would like that. Yeah, I think when it comes to like gear, as far as like what you would want, I think for me, it's all just like quality of life stuff, right? It's not necessarily like I don't crave more megapixels. I don't really crave faster autofocus. I don't crave, I don't know, a lot of things. Like I feel like what we have now is like, it's pretty damn good, but the things that I love the most, anything with magnets, really, I love it. Like, because then they just stick together and you know that it works, and the batteries can't die on magnets. So like, they're great. I love them. A good bag, having, here's just another quality of life thing. Like spend the, $80 or whatever for the manufacturer's like dual battery charger for your camera.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, you come home from a shoot or a wedding or whatever, and then you just put both your batteries in there and you know that they're going to be charged. You don't have to wait for one to finish and then go to the next one. They both charge. It's great.
Yeah. It's just, and I have a couple of those actually. Cause I mean, usually I'm shooting with, I have the battery grips on my cameras. So I have two batteries
that go in there
in each camera. So I've got two double chargers. So it's just like, put them in there, and when I get home, and you're all good. I think we've covered a lot of stuff here. Oh, there was one more that I had actually asked. I was like, oh, do you remember ring flash attachments? And this sort of covers a number of things.
Ring flash attachments for what? For
do
a camera?
You remember this? They had we had there was the Z flash, the Orbis flash. I had the Orbis flash, which was like it had like the special bracket, so that you could put your on camera, or basically a speed light on the bracket, and there was a ring flash.
Okay,
that would go around your lens, and it that went over the top of the head of the thing, and so your flash would go into it, and it would reflect all around and basically create like a ring flash look.
You had this?
I had that one. There were several other ones. There was the Ray flash, which was that designed so that it like hung off of your flash. Like if you put your on-camera flash speed light on there and then like pointed it forward, and then it like went onto that, and then it hung down over the lens.
Just do like mirrors or what?
Yeah, mirrors. Used mirrors, but I was like, these were like the like a big thing for a couple of years. And I had that one. I was like, because it was nice for macro shots and some other stuff. And people were really into the ring light look there for a while. Now it's it's big because of influencers and just for video. But this was a big thing for a while. And I was like, I had a ring flash, Alien Bees ring flash that I would use for my photo booth, because it was a very complimentary light for a photo booth. And you could use it it didn't matter how big of a group of people you had, it's great light for that. And I said, online when I was like asking people on Reddit for this. I said, why don't they have like a ring flash attachment that you could just like hook up to like an 8200 or 400 or whatever, like these, like the Godox
Yeah, real
things,
powerful.
flash. So you could use that, and they're like, yeah, that exists. That they actually have that. You can just like
Oh,
it's like a mount head, like you the cable, like you just have like your light in the main body of the flash
mhm.
unit in a bag or whatever, and it just like attached. I was like, well, that actually already exists. A flash extender, something we kind of like you talked about with your um, the mag mod thing that you had.
Thing, yeah.
People were saying like, oh, I want a flash extender so I can use my flash from further away because I'm trying to photograph wildlife or something. Like, and sometimes I need a flash, and personally, I would not do that because it might upset the wildlife. But somebody was like, oh, it already exists. It's called a better beamer. It actually
Right.
has a lens in it that focuses the power of your
For
flash.
distance.
Yeah,
It's
for
crazy.
distance. Yeah, like it can go up to like 100 yards or something like that. It was nuts.
So all these things that people have like asked for, they've all existed. We haven't
Right.
found anything that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, or the one we were the eye focusing. Canon has they will focus wherever your eye goes. Canon had that for years
Mm.
in their film cameras, and now we've been rolling it out with the R3. I'm guessing it'll be in the R1 as well when that comes out.
Hot take.
Hot take. It's going to be in the R1. You're gonna have
You heard it here first.
first on the Nerdy Photographer. So as we're kind of getting close to the end, like one final question then for you. What is something that does exist that you've used do you think is underappreciated? That is like a thing that, that
Oh, yeah.
people don't think about enough.
People don't think about enough. Okay. People don't think about enough.
That think about like this is something that they should be using that would help them, that would make their like photographic life easier.
I'm a very boring guy, Casey.
Yeah.
All right. But my answer are just the Peak Design anchors and the strap. I find them to be, I don't know. I don't know how many cameras you have, Casey, but looks
lot.
like back there, lots,
A lot.
right? Lots. I don't want to have 19 different camera straps. I have 2, right? But I don't want to have to buy a new one for every single one of these cameras. So to be able to just like, obviously this is an instant camera right here, but to be able to just like put, a neck camera strap on it or like a wrist camera strap immediately, it's fantastic. Again, it's just one of those like quality of life things that is so simple. And the version 1, I did not like. I found that mine got stuck in here as well, but I guess this is version 2 and they fixed that problem. And ever since then, it makes carrying your camera a whole lot easier. And when it's easier to carry your camera, it makes it easier to actually just go out and shoot. Like it's
Right.
one less thing to complain about. And therefore, I find them great, and I am eternally grateful for these Peak Design anchors. Even though it seems like everybody has them, I like to just take a moment and say thank you, Peak Design, because this is wonderful. It makes my life a whole lot easier.
I'd also like to say thank you to Peak Design. I have a Peak Design, the original Peak Design messenger bag,
Yeah,
and I had something came off the strap, and there was adhesive exposed, and I ordered this originally in the original Kickstarter 10 years ago.
yeah,
And I went back to Peak Design and said, hey, this is like, I can't wear it anymore because like it's like sticking to my clothes. It's like it marked up one of my shirts. I love the
yeah.
bag, but like, what do we do here? Can I replace the strap? What's going on? Like, how do I order a strap? And they're like, oh, well, no, it's a lifetime guarantee. We'll replace the strap. They came back then and said like, sorry, we don't have just straps and sock anymore. We're going to send you a whole new bag.
No way.
Yeah. Like their lifetime warranty is truly, if you can prove that like, that this is actually something that's a malfunction
Yeah,
of the, product, they will back it up and they will help you out. Like big props to Peak Design for that. I find those are like, my sort of obsessiveness. I find that they're like, I get worried about the what is it, structural integrity and weight of
I-
like stuff for their clips. I don't know. It's just like it's something that like I use I have a D ring with a clip that goes through, like, so it just like screws into the you know
Tripod
tripod.
mount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's much more like
Yeah.
sturdy, and I just feel comfortable about it. But I can use it on any of my cameras.
Yeah. Is
It's
it also can you also make it like a hand strap? Like
yeah.
that's the thing.
You can probably like, yeah. I'm sure you could adjust one to like to a hand strap.
Hmm.
Like, you find a way. I just don't use hand straps. I find that they're again, this is something about me and worried about.
Well, with bigger cameras, like I get it. Like I would never use it for like a DSLR, like a full size camera, but for like just like my Fuji's or yeah, even like my Instax camera here, like
oh yeah, I can see that.
walking around, they're great. They're
yeah.
great. But yeah, no, I wouldn't use them for a DSLR either. Or even I take that back. I did have one on my X100V, and I would shoot weddings with it, and it was nice and comfortable because then again, like the spider holster, you could just kind of like let go of the camera
Right.
and do whatever you need to do and then pick up back up the camera and go. But the X100V is it weighs next to nothing, so I had no worries there, no complaints.
Yeah. So mine would be, we kind of touched on it before, would be get a light meter.
Hmm.
It's the most, I think, underrated piece of camera gear out there that
How do you think people should use it? Like in what situations?
I find it like at weddings, I will go in and I'll just be like, there's a lot of arguments about like, oh, you can only shoot, people say you're only a professional if you shoot manual. Well, the one thing I'll say about manual, gives you consistent results.
Yeah.
And there are times when I will use aperture priority if I'm outside and like lights changing a lot. I mean, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Some people could be in the shade, some people could be out in the sun. So like I use aperture priority then. But if I'm in some inside space for a celebration of some kind, I'll go out and get a few light readings from the space where the couple's going to be. I'll get a few light readings from what it's like, going the other way down the aisle, so that I can then like set my manual so that my camera and my flash are not trying to meter stuff and figure out what's going on here. I can just set it to manual and blast away. And if I need to make adjustments, they're all going to be
Done.
They're all going to be the same adjustments, pretty much. But I also think like for things like you're shooting headshots, I do a lot of corporate headshots, like being able to go in and be like, okay, this is where what my lights should be at in this area. This is the ratio that I want between my lights, and being able to do that like in a matter of less than a minute.
Yeah.
And have everything set up really quick, as opposed to, oh, I'm going to take because it makes you look like, I used to do the thing where, the first person would show up to the corporate head. I'm like, well, you're the you're the guinea pig.
Yeah.
We're gonna test out the lights here on you and see how, if that's good.
They typically always send in the CEO first, and you're like, great.
Yeah, it's like, this makes me look real professional. Also, because we'd be in, here, you'll be in a high rise, like conference room, and the sun is in different positions all day long, and you're trying to like adjust to like what the light conditions are in the room, and like, how do I need to power up my lights? Do I need to stop down? What do I need to do? And trying to adjust to that, like, I find myself like when we're in a situation like that, we adjust like lights 3 times a day, like positioning, and because if it's a really, really bright sunny day out, it'll throw everything off, and you'll have, because we also want the background to show up, like out. We want to see the view outside. Yeah. That's the whole point of having like, we're doing these in the 40th floor conference room. Is the whole point is so you can get the view. So that's
I never brought my light meter to a wedding. Now that I think about it, I would only use it like when shooting film, just to ensure that I get it right. And then if there was some sort of like studio setup, like a headshot or something like that, again, just to not waste the other person's time, especially if you didn't have like an assistant to model for you to get the lights right. But other than that, I don't know. I never really used it for in digital photography. So that's interesting.
Also, because I think that like here's the thing about the meters in your cameras. Again, I'm going to say this again. I said it earlier. Cameras are dumb. Cameras
Yeah.
are dumb, and it cameras meter based on like a certain like amount of space inside the frame. It's not like even when you do a spot meter, it's like the 5% around that spot. It's not actual like a spot. So if you want that, if you want to get like really specific with your lighting and accurate with your lighting, again, it depends on how artsy you want to get. Like if you're like, I want this part of the face exposed like in a certain way with everything else being like blacked out around it. I just want to
Yeah.
expose this part. Like a light meter is really going to help you. Your camera is not going to meter that properly.
Right.
Your camera like can only meter in certain ways. It's very smart and quick about doing like metering in those ways, but you can easily outthink your camera and like think I want this, and then like it's all the people who are like, oh, I wanted this shot where this was like this part was like nicely lit, and then this stuff was all either like washed out or like blacked out, or whatever. That's usually the case. I'm like, but now I got this sort of like medium. I'm like, what were you exposing? What was your metering mode? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Metering mode. And they go, oh, like the one with the rectangle and the dot in the middle. I'm like, so it's metering for the entire scene. And they're like, oh, is that what that means? Yeah, that's what that means. So yeah, like you need to, like, I think that it's underrated because people don't realize what it can do to allow you to really create the image that you see in your head.
Right.
As opposed to like just letting the camera think in its own particular way. Speaking of film, I bought the TT Artisans.
You bought go on.
It's a little light meter.
Yeah. The electronic one, right? Like it reads it digitally.
It goes on your, like I put it on my film cameras because I've got a bunch of film cameras, and the built-in light meters in the film cameras have died long ago because these stuff is from like the 60s and 70s or older. And like, so the light meter doesn't work in any way. So instead of having to carry my big light meter around, I can just like tap it, and it like gets me in the zone where I want to be. And so it works. I swear by it. Again, I'll put those
really
in the,
I have so many questions. The reason why I bought this I had one of the Sekonic, I don't know, 107 or whatever, just a cheap $150 one or whatever. But I really wanted the spot metering.
This doesn't spot meter anything. This is just it's the scene. It's a scene, and like I said, that's why it like gets me in the zone. If I know what I'm shooting for, like I'm taking pictures of my dog while we're on our hikes. Black dog, need to up the exposure, but then I'll also be looking at the scene like, oh, okay, it's seeing. You have to know what's going on, but it's $60.
Yeah, that's so cheap,
and I can put it on any of my film cameras, like even my medium format, whatever. Like it's just like, I can take it from camera to camera to camera to camera, and it's this big.
Yeah, super tiny.
It's tiny, and so that for that reasoning, it's
it's a buy. It's a must buy.
It was for me. If you shoot film, it is something that will definitely like it gets you in the ballpark where that it's metering the scene, so you know if you need to stop down or But my problem is that sometimes I forget, like, because film cameras, some people might not know this, you don't get the wide range of shutter speeds.
Yeah. If it goes 1/500th, you're like, hey, it's a good day.
1,000th is like what some of my best, like my 35 millimeters, like maybe max out at 1,000, and the medium formats are like 500, stuff like that. It's like, that's not. I really need to like think more about my exposure. I need something that gets me in the right place based on the film. And the thing is, with film, you can't change your ISO. You can't just bounce around. You need help. Sometimes you need a gadget. Sometimes, Raymond, you need a gadget.
And I'm all here for them. More gadgets. Let's do it.
Hey, photographers, are you tired of using the same still poses with your clients, resulting in stiff and unnatural photos? Consider using Let's Be Real prompts instead. Prompts are not just a list of poses. They're designed to help you create a more engaging, fun environment for your photo subjects, resulting in more natural and authentic images. With Nerdy Photographer's Let's Be Real prompts, you'll have a unique set of prompts for couples, weddings, families, and individuals, ensuring that you never run out of ideas. Prompts are particularly helpful for clients who are nervous or self-conscious about having their picture taken. By giving them something else to focus on, they can become more relaxed and their reactions will be more authentic and less guarded. Using Let's Be Real prompts will not only help you create more fresh and dynamic images, but it will also increase your confidence and your client's confidence in you. You'll be able to handle difficult situations and subjects with ease, resulting in more satisfied clients and a stronger photography business. So start using Let's Be Real prompts from the Nerdy Photographer today and elevate your photography to the next level. Go to nerdyphotographer.com and go to our store, or click the link in the episode notes and get started creating authentic, engaging images today. Are you ready to take your photography business to new heights? Look no further than PicTime, the ultimate solution for photographers who demand more. Wow your clients with stunning branded galleries that showcase your work like never before. Let your customers preview selected photos on an array of printed goods. PicTime's smart photo store ensures your art shines on everything from canvases to coffee mugs. And take the stress out of marketing with PicTime's automation tools that empower you to effortlessly connect with clients, leaving you more time to focus on your craft. And revolutionize your workflow with PicTime's cutting-edge AI tool that allows you to search and sort images effortlessly, saving you time and ensuring you find that perfect shot in seconds. And that helps you strengthen vendor relationships with precision, curate vendor galleries, sending them just the right images, and enhancing your professional connections. Worried about switching hosts? Fear not. The expert staff at PicTime can seamlessly migrate your photos, making the transition smooth and stress-free. So are you ready to transform your photography experience? Visit nerdyphotographer.com/recommends/PicTime today and discover a world where creativity meets efficiency.
Hey. And now for my favorite part of the show. What's that say? Useless information. This is always death.
Raymond, true or false? Major League Baseball uses 900,000 balls every season.
Every season, 900,000 balls. Let's see. I'm gonna say false. I think it might be more.
That is their estimate.
900,000 balls.
Yes.
Recording stopped.
Oh, yeah. That is. We just went down to Cincinnati to go watch the Dodgers and the Reds, 3 games, and I swear they use a new ball every 4 pitches.
And they give those balls away because
then they just throw them right away. Yeah.
It seems like there could be a gadget that the Major League Baseball needs to find for, I don't know, resurfacing the balls, or I don't know, something.
Bringing them back.
Yeah, I think it's partially because of use. I think that's part of the reason that they taught they're no longer usable, is being tossed or whatever. That's but that's a lot of balls. It is.
According to the math here, that's an average of 5,625 balls per
day.
Per day, essentially, for a 160 game season. Now, obviously, I don't know how many teams there are. 30, I think.
30.
About 30. Yeah. That's 100. That's 187 and a half balls per game. So,
I can see that.
Seem like a lot. Divided by 9 innings, that's 20.8 balls per inning.
No, I think that'd be a little bit off. There's got to be something else in there in the math. But I mean, I could see them going through 10 balls an inning.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
But you watch, but the thing is, you watch a pro game and it's just it seems like every 5 pitches they're like, this ball, you can't use this ball anymore because it got scuffed up a little bit because the batter's complaining there's a little too much movement on that one.
Touch the ground, it's got to go.
Yeah,
gotta go.
Exactly. Pitch in the dirt, got to get rid of the ball. Raymond, thank you very much for coming on the show again. I appreciate it very much. Where can people find you?
Casey, where can people find me? You can find me over at the beginnerphotographypodcast.com. And that's it.
I'll include that link in the episode notes along with everything else. Again, thanks for coming on. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Perfect.
And welcome back. Many thanks to Raymond Hatfield for coming back on the show. Be sure to check out his links in the episode notes. While you are at it, you should also follow along with us on social media: Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Reddit, at The Nerdy Photo. All one word. No underscores, dots, or dashes. At The Nerdy Photo. Tell us what you think about this or any other episode that we've done. Leave your photography-related questions or tell us what topics you would like to hear about in the future. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already done that, and leave a review and or tell a friend about the show, and or preferably but possibly or. I think I finally have the shield generator fixed. Turn it on, Golden. Yeah, I know that doesn't sound good. Until next time, everybody, stay safe and stay nerdy.
Who's that coming back to town? You better start listening. Who's your heart been beating about? You better listen.